Mickey Mouse. Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Cool. Jake Hamilton, Good Day Chicago.
Is that well? Where are you right now? Is that Chicago?
Yes, sir. Chicago. It's Navy Pier right behind me.
Wow.
Good to see you again, sir. I'm always miss chatting with you, and congratulations on this. I actually begged Apple to let me on this junket because I'm obsessed with the show. So seriously, thank you so much for your time. Obviously, you've worked both in movies and in television. I'd imagine the benefit of television being that you can sort of flesh out a story over multiple episodes and multiple years. Thinking about the cinematic stories that you've told, only having 2 hours to tell them, which of your movies would you actually love to see sort of maybe fleshed out over multiple episodes and multiple seasons and sort of dive into different elements or facets of that story if you had years to be able to work on them?
Wow. I would probably, I mean, when you said that, I mean, I haven't thought about this question before, but when you said that, The Village felt like the right format for that, you know, a group of people in that circumstance, just story after story of what it means and keep teasing what's going on outside the village. And so that felt like that's what my answer was, I guess.
I love that movie is now being sort of looked back on as, you know, almost like an underappreciated masterpiece. I'm loving that time has been kind to that movie. It was actually on my top 10 list the year that it came out. I genuinely love The Village. So that's cool that you answered that way. You know, one of the ways that this show gets me every week is the incredible cliffhanger endings, like little twists at the end of each episode. And I was thinking about how much pressure that has to be to come up with a good one every week. And then that got me thinking about sort of at the start of your career when people were almost demanding that you include some kind of a twist ending with your films. Are the two comparable at all? The pressure of ending each episode with a cliffhanger and then the pressure by audiences for you to surprise them at the end of each film?
They're very different. You know, it's a very different relationship, the storyteller with the audience in this long form, because until you get to the end of the series, it's always continuing. And so there's a different relationship. So for example, let's say when you're doing a movie series in a traditional franchise way, the end of the franchise, let's say you're making a Marvel movie, right? The next, you know that it's part of a larger story. So you have a different relationship. It's not over and done. But with an original movie, it's done, right? You're never visiting those characters and will never see this tone again. And you now have a position on it. And you're saying, I feel this way about it. What's really interesting is that position changes over time as you realize what you're feeling and you're connected to. But in TV, there's a little bit of closure, but not entirely, because you know you're coming back the next week or the next season, and all you're saying is at the end of each episode, now we're aiming here, now we're aiming here, now we're aiming here. And do you like that? Where we're going in this foreseeable future? And they go, ooh, we're moving there? Cool.
I've got to say, I have probably sworn out loud more so watching just whenever you guys cut to black, because you know exactly what you're doing when you cut to black at just those opportune moments, and you guys absolutely nailed it. Mr. Shyamalan, I've actually interviewed you many times, and I've had a question I've always wanted to ask you, and it just never sort of organically came up. So I figured I would just sort of jump in and ask you, because I've got to tell you, seeing The Sixth Sense in theaters when I was 11 was one of the most mind-blowing, formidable, unforgettable theatrical experiences of my entire life. And I've always actually wondered, do you remember the exact moment that you came up with that ending? Do you remember when and where it came to you, that moment where it just clicked?
I think I do. It's blurring a little bit now, but I do. My wife was writing something. We were upstairs, and we had an apartment, and there was like a little upstairs room where she had a desk, and I was sitting on the sofa, and I was like, why aren't they speaking? Why is the couple not speaking? What's the marital problem? Why aren't they speaking? And wait a minute. It was like that. It was literally like that. It came from character, which is what writing when it's, you know, you feel really great about it. That plot comes out of the character.
So the ending came out of, I guess that's out of the plot, not like you came up with the ending and then had to figure out a plot to match it. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a beautiful moment. Thank you.
As we wrap up, I read recently that you said that you envisioned Servant as being sort of a 40-part story, which the second I read that, my first thought was like, okay, so he's heading somewhere. Like there's an ending in mind. Do you know what the ending to Servant is?
Yeah, I mean, there's a goal of what is the show about, and I think only how many shows have we gotten to the ending of, really, right? That we really got to the ending, we went, oh, that's what the show's about, and it betrays itself that you obviously knew that the people who made the show didn't know that that's what it was about. They came up with an ending at that moment, but it really has nothing to do with what you saw in season 2 or anything. I didn't want that. I want you to get to it and feel the resonance through the 40 of what that close-up of that footstep was when she stepped over that threshold. Every single thing should make sense, and hopefully, as time will be kind to that show, and you could watch all 40 and having known where it's going and going, wow, this is a beautiful architecture for these characters. That's the hope, that it resonates.
Well, it absolutely does. I got to tell you, man, I grew up on your films. So the fact that I get to, for a living, I get to talk to you is one of the great honors of my life and of my career, man. And I cannot thank you. I wish I could tell like 11-year-old me who sat in theaters and watched Sixth Sense, that one day I'm going to get to not just talk to you once, but talk to you many times. If you ever make a movie in Chicago, I want to be your Yuki Washington, because I know Yuki and I spotted, he's like your Easter egg. I spot him in all of your movies. So really, what an honor, sir. I cannot thank you for always being so kind. I actually have a framed signed photo of us in my apartment, so it's always a pleasure to chat with you, sir.
Jake, you're so gracious, and definitely when I shoot in Chicago, you're definitely the anchor in there.
All right, I'll take it. All right, good to see you, sir. I hope you and your family are doing well.
Take care.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.